What's up everybody, welcome back to the Mech multiplayer series. So today I want to take a look at one of the last gameplay issues that we have, and that is that the AI soldiers can actually block the path of our big metal mech. So we can get stuck on them, we can't walk over them, we can actually get caught up if they surround us. So that doesn't really make sense. So today we're going to make sure that if we walk over them, they will actually just die. So that's what we're going to do today. The first thing we need to do is go to our player mech. And for this, we're going to select our character mesh component and scroll down to the collision settings. So we created collisions for the character AI and the player AI earlier in the series. So what we want to do is make sure that we set the character AI over here to overlap. And then we're going to say generate overlap events for the mesh. We're going to go to our capsule component in here as well. And again, we're going to make sure that we set the character AI to overlap. So we need to change the collision presets from pawn to custom. And then we're going to say AI character overlap over here. This already has the generate overlap events, so this should be good. Let's compile and save it. Then we want to go to our base enemy. So let's open that one up as well. And in here, although we don't have a mesh assigned, we're going to select the character mesh. And again, we're going to scroll down and we're going to say character player. And for this one, we're going to say overlap as well. And then we want to enable the generate overlaps events on here as well. So mesh, character player overlap, generate overlap events. With that setup, we can go to our interfaces and we want to open our enemy interface. In here, we're going to add a new function and we're going to call this player contact. Compile and save, and let's get rid of the interface. So we want to set this up and we're going to start inside of our mech. So we're going to open our mech back up, and inside of the event graph over here, we're going to grab our mesh component and we're going to go to all the way down, and we want to select the on begin overlap event over here. So on component begin overlap, we're going to add this event, and this event actually executes on all instances. So you have to see it like this. There is a character mesh in every instance of the game, and that will individually create an overlap event when it overlaps something. So it's not really like this event replicates from the server to all the clients. It simply executes on all instances of the game because all of those meshes exist in all of the instances in the game. So what we want to do from here is simply grab the other actor. So that's the actor that we overlapped, and we're going to call our player contact event that we added on the interface. And we can do the same thing for our capsule component. So we're going to select the capsule component, do on component begin overlap. Oh, that was end overlap, that's my bad. And we want to add that and do the same thing. So this will also execute on all instances. And then we're simply going to call our player contact event from here on the other actor that we overlap. Compile and save, and that's already good to go. And then we want to go inside of our not enemy right, but we're going to go into our base enemy because this is default behavior that we want to add to all of our enemies. And we're going to go to the interfaces and add our player contact event. So this will be called if we overlap a player or an enemy. We're going to grab the health variable and set that to 0. Then we want to make sure that we clear the timer for our distance to target function. So we're going to drag off here, do clear timer by function name. And we want to clear our distance to target function. So let's copy and paste that name in here. We're going to grab our can attack boolean and set it to false. So this will make sure that our attack loop events will stop looping and we will break out of that loop. Then we're going to grab our stop movement loop boolean and we're going to set it to true. So we also want to stop moving. And we can do that by grabbing our character movement component and say stop movement immediately. So this will make sure that the current movement will be aborted, and then we have this set to true, so we will break out of the movement loop as well. No more event will be looping by then. Then we're going to use a new boolean to make sure that we can identify that we have been killed by walking over us. So we're going to add a new boolean and call this died by player contact. And we're going to drag it in over here and set it to true. So we don't really need to replicate this. First of all, this first part will execute on all of the instances in the game, because the overlap event executed on all instances. So this call will be made on all instances. But we're only going to use this variable server side. So it doesn't really matter anyway. We only want a server to know this, so we don't need to do any replication for this. We're going to grab a branch. So as I mentioned, all of this stuff executes on all of the instances, and now we want to do something only server side. So we're going to check if we are the server, and if we are the server, then we want to set our hit location die variable over here. And this will actually execute our multicast die event that will make the character go into ragdoll and things like that. So we can simply grab our current actor location, and that's the location where we died. So get actor location and plug that in over here. So when the server sets this, this will notify all other players as well that we need to execute our unwrap hit location die event. So let's go in here. And what we want to do in here, we want to make sure that the impulse that we add to the AI that died is different. So if we simply walk over him, we don't want to launch him into the air like he's hit by a missile. We just want him to fall over and die. So what we're going to do is grab the strength over here, and we're going to use a select node. And we're going to select a float. We can plug in our died by player contact over here. So if this is true, then we're going to pick the A value, and I'm going to make that 50. And if it's false, I'm going to make it 1000. So then we are hit by a projectile and we want to fly away. And that's pretty much all we need to do. So right now, if we go in game, we should be able to walk over enemies, and they should actually die without flying away. So let's see if this is working. So I'm gonna walk over him with just the leg, and you will see him falling over. And also if I hit him with my capsule component or the body of the mech, he will simply die. So that's working, and we can make sure this also works in multiplayer, but it should, but you never know. So let's just run a quick test over here. If my PC can handle it. It's actually struggling at the moment. So first of all, let's try it with the server or the client. I'm actually controlling the client right now, and I'm gonna walk over this guy. And they die in both screens. And now quickly pick the other one and walk over another guy. And all of that seems to be working. So now the AI can no longer block our paths, and we can actually crush them with our big metal mechs. So that's a little bit more realistic, and it shouldn't break the game because we are not blocked by enemies anymore. Cool. So this was a pretty short episode, and because we haven't done any commenting recently, I think I'm gonna go through the blueprints right now and add some comments about what stuff does. And then we're gonna wrap up this episode, and in the next episode we're gonna do health pickups. So first of all, let's go to our BattleMechs game mode, and we haven't added any comments in here yet, so that's a little bit confusing. First of all, let's start with these three events. So we have begin play, post login, and possessed pawn changed. And what we're going to do in here is simply set up the game defaults. So let's add a comment in here, and we're going to say start game, set arrays of controllers and characters. That's good to go. Then we have our start game event, and over here we actually set all of the defaults for a new game. So let's add a comment in here as well, and I'm gonna say set game defaults, and it's actually overlapping the other event over here, so that's nice. Okay, let's add it like this. Then we have our round timer. So in that event we actually increase the difficulty and count the duration of the round. So I'm gonna move it to an empty spot over here and add a comment. So this is the round timer countdown, and increase difficulty at end of the round. So that's what this event does. Then we have the spawn loop over here. So that's pretty self-explanatory, but let's add a comment here anyway. So this is the spawning AI loop. So then we have the reset spawner cooldown. Well, that shouldn't need a comment, but just add it. It's easier to read probably. So reset spawner cooldown. The next event is called when an AI died. So called when AI died. Then we have the start new round and the round countdown function. So let's grab the start new round function. Start new round and displays on the HUD widgets. And for the countdown it's pretty similar. So let's add a comment for the round countdown, and this will start counting down. Update players HUD and start the game at the end of countdown. And that's probably start a new round at the end of the countdown. So start a new round at the end of the countdown. So that's what that event does. Then we have our event player died. So that's pretty self-explanatory. Called when a player dies. And get new player to attack. So this is assign a new player to attack for AI. Okay. So yeah, this should just make it a little bit easier to read and understand what's going on, and to see where you need to go if you want to change something. So I'm not going to make these whole encyclopedias of comments, but just a short comment that tells you what's happening. So inside of our base enemy, we also don't have a lot of comments yet, I think. So let's start in the event graph. So for begin play, this should be pretty self-explanatory. So we have our movement loop. Let's add a comment in here. Movement loop. Well, that's pretty redundant, but okay. Then over here we have our attacking animations and events. So these are attacking events. Then over here, event radial damage. So this is taking damage. Oh, I misspelled that, obviously. Remove corpse. So that's pretty self-explanatory as well. Deletes corpse dying. Set new player to attack. So this will assign a new player to attack. Assigns new player to attack if previous one died. And then we have the player contact event. So this is when the player walks over us and we die. So die by player walking over us. Okay, compile, save that. Then inside of our enemy raid, I don't think we really need to add anything. We're just playing a montage and spawning some sounds. So that shouldn't be too difficult. Then we have the funds, gameplay, all of that stuff is not really important. Inside of our Mech player controller. So we already have a bunch of comments in here. At the end of begin play, we could say add the player HUD. So add HUD to screen. And then over here we have the update, round number and countdown events. So we could say something like update HUD from game mode server. There we go. Compile and save that. And for our player Mech, we probably have some commenting to do as well. So we did the beginning of this part. We have the event any damage and our update health event. So let's move this out of the way. Over here, if we press 1, we add some health. So we want to move that out of the way as well, probably. Make sure this is connected to the right event. So we're going to grab our event any damage, and this is taking damage. Then over here, spawn damage FX and destroy damage FX. So I'm going to grab both of them and add a comment, spawning, removing damage FX. So that's the fires. Then we have the overlap events over here. So these are if we walk over an enemy. So walk over enemies, events. Then over here, owner HUD update health. So that shouldn't really need a comment. That should be self-explanatory, to be honest. Then we have over here, where we press the 1 key, we will add some health, and then the server add health goes with that if we press it for a client. So let's add a comment in here and call this something like for testing, adding health. So that's not something we're going to leave at the end of the game, but we kind of need it for now. It makes our life easier to test. And then we have our multicast die event. So that's obviously dying. So let's add a comment in here and call this dying. So that should be good to go. Compile and save that one. And now at least we have some quick comments everywhere, so we know what's going on. Inside of the player HUD, I don't think we have any special stuff yet. The countdown remove, well, let's add a comment in here, why not? Removes countdown and round number after 3 seconds. And that's good to go as well. So we updated the comments and our project is a tiny bit neater to look at as well. A little bit of a shorter episode if you don't include the commenting at the end. In the next episode we're going to take a look at health pickups, and then we are good to go to set up our menu frameworks. So that's what we're going to do after that. Hope you enjoyed the series. If you did, please consider leaving a like to the episode and maybe share the series with somebody else. That greatly helps the channel, and the views are a tiny bit low, so you would do me a great favor by just leaving a like or actually telling somebody else about this. If you want to get the project files, dive into the Discord, and those are free for you all to download. Thanks for watching. Talk to you later. Bye bye.